guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about the reign of Karl Franz, the current emperor of the empire. Since its founding, the empire has known many different emperors. Some have been wise and just, and some corrupt or tainted by madness. The current emperor is Karl Franz, Prince of Altdorf and Elector Count of Reichland. Under his rule, the empire has been forged into a well-coordinated and disciplined engine of war. A statesman supreme, Karl Franz is a powerful and charismatic leader, renowned across the Old World and beyond as a brilliant statesman. And the current stability and strength of the empire owes much to his ability to negotiate the treacherous political webs that hold the empire together. Karl Franz has petitioned the notoriously stubborn Grand Masters of the Knightly Orders for aid, appealing to their fierce warrior pride and sense of honor, with the skill of a born diplomat. Ever since, the knights of countless warrior brotherhoods have been seen marching beside the banners of the Empire's armies in numbers not seen since the time of the Crusades. Likewise, provincial rulers who were at war with their neighbors only a few years ago now stand shoulder to shoulder under the Emperor's banner. Having heeded Karl Franz's counsel, they have put their differences aside for now, and their combined forces repel the hordes of orcs, beastmen, and undead that would see the Empire torn asunder. The fragile alliance between the Empire's different factions and states is held together with but a thread. Karl Franz has no shortage of political rivals who believe they might benefit were he to be removed from the throne. These range from elected city officials and a dizzying array of feudal lords to fanatical religious leaders and disgruntled guild masters, all jockeying for power and position at court. So does Karl Franz sit in the center of a web of intrigue where every leader has his own petty jealousies, entrenched rivalries, and unspoken ambitions. It is a complex and sometimes cutthroat world which only the most astute statesman can hope to navigate unscathed. Though the Emperor is the ultimate source of power and patronage, he is always just one sip of a poisoned cup away from death. If Karl Franz should fall, the frail bonds that hold the Empire together might falter, and, without unity, the Empire would surely not stand for long. A defender of the realm. The Emperor's the Emperor's military mind is every bit as sharp as his political one. And among his first acts as Emperor was the strengthening of the Empire's borders. He personally led armies to cull tribes of chaos-worshipping Northmen and savage beastmen warherds that were rampaging in the heart of his realm. On these and countless other battlefields, Karl Franz has brought glory to his people, and through his own scars and blood, he has proved that his courage and dedication to protecting the Empire are beyond reproach. Shortly into his rule, the Emperor decreed that the state troops receive better pay and more rigorous training than ever before, and after each of Karl Franz's rousing speeches, the infantry barracks swelled with new recruits. However, the Emperor realized that battles are not won with steel alone. Under Karl Franz's reign, the military institutions of the Empire have flourished like never before. The colleges of magic have revealed their most destructive magics. The Imperial Engineers School has unveiled its most powerful weapons to date, and the forges at the Imperial Gunnery School toil day and night to provide the Empire's armies with the artillery and shot they require. The Elector Counts. The Elector Counts are the hereditary rulers of the Empire's provinces, whose titles have been passed down over many long centuries. In addition to ruling a province, honoring certain tithes, and maintaining a standing army to protect the Empire, the Elector Counts are responsible for electing one of their own number as the new emperor should the incumbent ruler die, hence the name. Following Sigmar's passing, there were only 12 Elector Counts. Later on, other powerful individuals won or else bought the right to cast their vote. These officials are known simply as electors, and, Though they can vote for a candidate, they cannot themselves become emperor. There are currently 5 of these electors: the high priest of the cult of Ulrich, the elder of the Moot, and 3 from the cult of Sigmar. The Sigmarite representatives are disproportionately influential because they always cast their votes for the same candidate. Historically, their votes tend to favor the Count of Reichland, while the cult of Ulrich's vote invariably goes to the Count of Middenheim if he is contesting the election. The elder of the Moot is less predictable, being more interested in the timing of his next meal than political intrigues. Sounds like a little bit of racism against halflings to me. The ruling electors of the Empire. Elector Count of Averland, Marius Leitdorf. The Countship of Averland is currently disputed following Marius Leitdorf's death. Elector Count of Hochland, Aldebrand Ludenhof. Elector Count of Middenland, Graf Boris Todbringer. Elector Count of Nordland, Theodoric Gausa. Elector Count of Ostland, Valmir von Raukov. Elector Count of Ostermark, Wolfram Herzfisch. Elector Count of Reichland, Emperor Karl Franz. Elector Count of Sturland, Graf Albrecht Hauptandersen. Elector Count of Talabecland, Helmut Feuerbach, missing. Elector Count of Wissenland, Emanuel von Leibwitz. You had an O in there, and you've got Warhammer's first Jew. Elector Count of Zoland, Eldred. The provinces of Zoland and Drakvald no longer exist, and the named Elector Counts were the last of that particular province. Elector Count of Drakvald, Conrad Aldrich. Elector of the Moot, Elder Hism Stoutheart. Elector of the Cult of Sigmar, Grand Theogenist Volkmar. Elector of the Cult of Sigmar, Arch-Elector Caslane. Elector of the Cult of Sigmar, Arch-Elector Aglim. Elector of the Cult of Ulrich, R. Ulrich Emil Valger. A warrior of renown. Karl Franz is not a man to ask others to do what he himself will not, and has taken to the field many times during his reign as emperor. Such displays of heroism and martial skill have only served to solidify his place in the eyes of his people as one of the greatest emperors in history. The threat from the north. Karl Franz's first great battle came in the very year of his ascension to emperor. Wishing to establish his reign as one of military strength and to send a message to those outside his borders that he was not a man to be taken lightly, the emperor decided a show of force would ratify his position. Since the Great War against Chaos, the numbers of beastmen and Chaos worshippers had been growing steadily once more. Karl Franz's advisors told him that in the far north, the winds of magic were blowing strongly again. It might not be for years, even decades, but at some point the marauders would come again in force, pushed south by the expansion of the realm of chaos. Norse raiders, growing bolder in recent years, had reaped a bloody toll on the people dwelling on the coast of the Sea of Claws, slaughtering entire towns and carrying off their livestock and womenfolk. In response, Karl Franz's first act was to march northwards at the head of a mighty host to reinforce the army of Theodoric Gausser, Elector Count of Nordland. Gausser's armies could not know where the Norse would strike in time to defend their people, but the Emperor had brought with him some of the most powerful wizards of the Celestial College, whose members are gifted with the ability to read the future in the heavens. The next time the Norse raiders attacked, they were met with fusillades of fire from concealed handgunners and crossbowmen, and their ships were sunk by unerringly accurate cannon fire, Hellstorm rocket batteries, and the powerful storms summoned by the Celestial College's arcane war altars. Hundreds of Norse died without a fight as their heavy halberds dragged them to the bottom of the sea, and those that survived to reach the shore were met by disciplined ranks of swordsmen, spearmen, and halberdiers marching onto the beach. The berserk Norsemen were slaughtered without quarter, and the Emperor himself led the charge against the final Norse shield wall. The Battle of Bloodpine Woods. In the year 2517, the Emperor marched again to battle, in an episode that quickly escalated into one of the most perilous encounters of his life. The Reichwald forest is infested with countless foul creatures, and goblin raids are just one of the numerous threats that constantly assail the Empire settlements within it. On this occasion, the goblin shaman Rachnik, the self-proclaimed Spider King, had gathered a horde of greenskins and was burning his way across the Reichland. Karl Franz knew that Rachnik's Spider-Claw tribe must be purged from the Reichwald quickly, for if he could not defend his own province, then his ability to defend the Empire might well be called into question. So it was that Karl Franz led an army to stamp out the threat once and for all. Vast columns of white-uniformed state troops marched down the Great Reich Road, advancing to the steady beat of drums beside great swords from Carroburg and fully half the Reichsguard, their armor polished to a mirror sheen. The Reichsmarschall led the Emperor's guard from the front, riding beside Karl Franz and his ferocious Imperial Griffin, Deathclaw. The Spider-Claw tribe's lair lay within a region of the Reichwald forest known as the Bloodpine Woods. I feel like if you name a segment of a forest that, you kind of have to expect that bad things are going to happen. As the Emperor's army approached its boundaries, the woodland grew increasingly dense and dark. The menacing area was thick with cobwebs, and the soldiers could see corpses hanging from the trees wrapped in thick webs, their blood pooling on the forest floor. Reluctant to send his troops blindly into the heart of the goblins' realm, Karl Franz instead ordered the bulk of his infantry to deploy in a long line, parallel to the road and facing the edge of the Bloodpine Woods. They were to hold the line, no matter the cost. Though the foot soldiery would bear the brunt of the coming attack, the Emperor needed them to buy time for Kurt Helborg and the Reichsguard to move into position. With his orders given, Karl Franz spurred Deathclaw into flight, and vanished behind the eastern tree line. No sooner had the men of the Reichland taken their positions than a great horde of shrieking goblins and ferocious savage orcs erupted from the malign forest. The discipline of Reichland's troops proved equal to the task at first, but wave after wave of greenskins continued to pour from the Bloodpine Woods. The ferocity of the sustained assaults was such that the eastern flank would have crumbled, were it not for the heroic efforts of the Carroburg greatswords and the steadying shouts of Reichland captains. However, as yet more greenskins joined the fight, it looked as if no amount of courage would help them prevail. Just as all seemed lost, the Reichsguard launched their counterattack. The hearts of men lifted, but greenskin eyes grew wide with panic as hundreds of heavily armored knights crested the ridge and hurtled full tilt towards the battle line, Kurt Helborg at their head. As the Reichsguard plowed through the foe, the enemy's panic grew into abject terror. The Reichsmarschall ordered a full-scale pursuit, driving the greenskins back into the forest and into the jaws of Karl Franz's trap. The greenskin horde halted in fear and confusion as the forest seemed to explode in an avalanche of claws and talons. Karl Franz had secretly led a force of demigryph knights to cut off the line of retreat. Caught between Karl Franz's monstrous cavalry to the front and the Reichsguard to the rear, the greenskins were massacred. The soldiers of Reichland cheered, but their celebrations were cut short as a coruscating bolt of green sorcery shot from the tree line and struck the Emperor, pitching him from the saddle In an instant, the soldiers' celebratory shouts turned into cries of fear as Arachnic himself emerged from the gloom atop a monstrous spider the size of a townhouse. Several similar beasts stalked out of the woods, and darting between their chitinous legs were hundreds of spiders as big as war horses. The spider-mounted goblins descended upon the terrified soldiers, and the men were overwhelmed by their scuttling tide. Scores fell as black-fledged arrows found their marks, and Reiksguard knights were skewered by spear-sized bolts, or else pulled from their horses by hungry trolls lumbering in the spiders' wakes. Deathclaw shrieked with rage and pounced on the first regiment of goblins that came close to the fallen emperor, tearing them apart with his powerful talons. Karl Franz awoke to those bestial cries with the coppery taste of blood in his mouth. Were it not for the enchanted armor he wore, the shaman sorcery would surely have killed him. Fighting through the pain, the Emperor remounted Deathclaw and soared towards the last colossal arachnid, and the cackling Arachnic perched atop it. Deathclaw slew the shaman with one sweep of his mighty talons. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over some of these words. This is a really blurry PDF. Whilst Karl Franz leapt from the saddle to land amidst the goblins and the great spider's howdah. Fighting like a warrior god of old, he sent their shattered bodies flying in all directions, and sundered the great spider's skull with one titanic sweep of Galmaraz. All who witnessed the event claimed it was a feat worthy of Sigmar himself. Kurt Elborg spread word of Karl Franz's recovery as swiftly as he could, and the soldiers of Reichland took heart once again. When they saw the Emperor standing triumphant with their own eyes, their courage soared, and they redoubled their efforts. With their Spider King slain, the greenskins swiftly fled, scuttling off in all directions. Though it would take another month to root out and eradicate the last nest of survivors, the Spiderclaw tribe was no more. The Third Battle of Blackfyre Pass. Marius Leitdorf, the Mad Count of Averland, had long caused problems for Karl Franz. For years he had challenged the other counts, led nonsensical military campaigns after imaginary foes, and generally upset his neighbors. It's a very British thing to say. After Leitdorf's ruthless suppression of the infamous Halfling Rebellion of 2502, Karl Franz dispatched his dour champion, Ludwig Schwarzhelm, to hold robust negotiations with the eccentric Elector Count. The cheerless Schwarzhelm's orders were simple. He was to ensure that Leitdorf's notoriously unpredictable behavior did not imperil the Empire any further. With some unsubtle guidance from Karl Franz through Schwarzhelm, Marius Leitdorf appointed new advisors to curb the worst of his excesses, and the Emperor became fond of the eccentric Count. In 2520, having been returned to the fold of the Emperor's trusted allies, Leitdorf sent word to Karl Franz that a massive horde of greenskins were once again advancing on Blackfyre Pass, and that the provincial army of Averland would not be able to hold them back. Karl Franz responded with the combined military might of Reichland and Altdorf behind him, including a trio of steam tanks. With such forces at his command, the Emperor reinforced Leitdorf's beleaguered army and stemmed the tide of orcs. During the main charge on the Greenskin host, the Emperor witnessed the death of Marius Leitdorf at the hands of the orc war boss, Vorgaz Ironjaw. Karl Franz eventually won the day by besting the hulking warboss in single combat, claiming bloody retribution. By this and numerous other victories as Karl Franz protected his realm and held the Empire's enemies at bay. However, with rumors reaching the imperial court of vast northern armies mustering in the realm of chaos, the Empire's darkest hour is about to arrive. And that is of the Empire. We, believe it or not, actually have a lot more to talk about. But I think we're at a good stopping point for now. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am really sorry about the pace of release for these. It's been difficult when there's all this banging and grinding and, whatever happening around me. But it seems to be done for now. So hopefully I can get back into the swing of things and I can start getting you guys more videos. I think, and don't hold me to this, but I think after I'm done with Empire, I'm going to start doing some 40k stuff. So, we still have Lizardmen we have to do, we still have Druki we have to do for fantasy, we still have Ogres we have to do, but I think we're going to start doing some 40k stuff in there. I'm not going to promise that we're going to do a lot of Space Marine stuff, because I don't think the concept of Space Marines are particularly interesting. But, I guess we'll see. And if there's anything in particular you want me to read through, let me know. Yeah. I will see you guys next time.